one day and he seen all these police officers outside. He actually got my daughter and I, and he made us sit in front of him with a 357 Magnum, and he played Russian roulette.
Welcome to Breaking Silence, a space for real conversations, education, and advocacy.
We're your hosts, Tiffany and Taylor, and we work at the Haven Domestic Violence Shelter and Sexual Assault Center in Valdosta, Georgia.
Every day, the Haven supports survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, and child abuse. And this podcast is an extension of that mission.
Here, we talk openly about issues that impact our community, break down myths, share facts, and highlight resources that save lives.
So these conversations may be a little heavy, but they're necessary. Our goal is awareness, prevention, and healing.
If you or someone you know needs help, support is available, and you are not alone.
This is Breaking Silence. Let's talk.
Welcome back to the Haven podcast. This is Real Talk with the Haven, and we have Miss Rose Wilson here. Welcome, Miss Rose.
Thank you.
She is with the Blessing Word of God Universal Ministry.
That's correct.
And she has a domestic violence support group, and we're here to talk about domestic violence. But I want you to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the stuff you do.
Okay. Once again, I'm Rose Monroe Wilson, and I'm an advocate for domestic violence, and my program is Domestic Violence is Every Day.
Mm-hmm.
And we get out, and I go to different shelters and just churches, facilities everywhere, because there are even older people that has dealt with domestic violence that's still dealing with that. So we go into different facilities and support them as well.
You've also done the baskets for the shelters at the ladies.
Yes.
Y'all do stuff all throughout the year to give back to
Yes.
our shelter. You're
Right.
busy lady.
Right.
Y'all stay busy. Tell me a little bit about the support group that you have.
The support group that I have is basically about supporting not just women local, but we're all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does is it's giving women hope, that there's a way out, and they don't have to feel stuck. Because a lot of people do feel stuck when they're forced, facing domestic violence.
Yeah.
But with me, myself, I can definitely say there's a way out.
And then a support group also helps you know that you're not alone.
Exactly.
So you have all these other people going through the
Right.
same things or who have gone through those same experiences. It just makes you feel less isolating, which is a really big part of family violence, is that
Yes.
isolation, to
Yes.
not have that community you need to get out.
That's true. That's true. Because when you going through it, it's like you feel like you're just that one person at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to tell people that always remember that it's always someone on the other side of the door.
Right.
Because they get involved in that one, like myself. I'm going to speak personally for myself.
Okay.
When I was going through my domestic violence, I was really afraid because my ex, he was a deputy sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
And by him being law enforcement, I felt like my hands was tied, that I didn't have a way out. But then I started putting together a strategy. Every time he would leave, he would lock me up in a room with our daughter, which was a baby, and I couldn't do anything. So every time he leave, I kept trying to get the hinges off the room door. So every time I kept doing, then I started getting paper. When he come home, take a shower, I would get things and hide in the room, like a pen, paper, scissors, stuff I can get where I can drop notes out the door, out the windows. And people started paying attention to the little notes. So you put together a strategy that works for you. Because I'm not going to tell everybody or nobody that it's safe to go out there. I'm going to tell you just be careful. With me, I just stepped out on faith. I put my prayer up first, and I asked God to really walk me through this, and he did that. So when I did, the notes started getting noticeable because people started noticing all this paper, but he would walk right past them. I would see him. He was walking right past them. He wasn't even paying no attention. And one of the ladies that lived downstairs, She picked all the notes up and she put them together and started reading them. And then she realized they were coming from upstairs from me. So she took the notes and she started using them to, she started giving them to other people, trying to make sense out of them. And actually, it was like a whole letter of what I was going through. It was like a puzzle. They had to put it together. And when they finally put that puzzle together, they realized that I was upstairs with my new baby. I mean, my baby was only 6 weeks old. And it was really devastating because when he realized, he came home one day and he seen all these police officers outside, he actually got my daughter and I, and he made us sit in front of him with a 357 Magnum, and he played Russian roulette. But before all that happened, he used to beat me. He used to kick me. He had steel-toe boots. I mean, I went through a lot of physical abuse that I still deal with to this day, because I want everybody to know that domestic violence is not temporary. It's a constant, it's like a tattoo. It always stays with you. You can always put it behind you, but you never forget the scars that you go through. And those are always scars that reminds me that I know who I am. And that's what I had to start realizing. I know my worth. I know I was a better person before I met him, and I can go back to being that person. See, so when you start knowing your values, that makes a difference, because right now, if you really think about it, the whole world is part of domestic violence. We all are going through domestic violence right now if we really stop and think about it. Some is physical, some is mental. I mean, some dealing with finances. We losing jobs. That's a finance. That's part of domestic violence. You're going through this psychological issue because we don't know which way to go. So now domestic violence is bigger than we thought it was.
Oh, yeah.
It's much huge.
A lot of people experience family violence or know someone who has. And all of those things that you've listed, the physical violence, the emotional abuse that happens. And we're talking about that financial abuse when someone's controlling how much money you have, how much you're allowed to spend, if they try to give you an allowance or no money at all.
Yes.
If they're in full control of the money, that is financial abuse. And a lot of people don't realize that, and that can affect a lot of stay-at-home moms who don't have their own income coming in the house and think that it's acceptable for your partner to put you on an allowance, to say like you don't have access to the money. That's financial abuse.
Yes, it is.
And you have full right to have as much access as he does to the finances when you're married.
Right.
But yeah, those are really good points. And I'm so sorry that you went through this, but I'm very thankful that you're now helping people get out of those situations.
Yes. And it feels so good because I use my story to let people know that you're not alone. Everybody has a story. No matter who you look at, someone that you see has a story. Some people will come out and admit that, okay, I've gone through these things. Some people still hiding in the closet.
That's right.
But it's up to you to figure out your own way out. So we go to the shelters and that's the start. But you sit there when you go to the shelter, put together a plan to know that, okay, I'm at the shelter, what I'm going to do now.
Yeah, what's next?
Right. So what you're going to do, the next thing is you're going to say, okay, I know I have my children. Now you start building a foundation for yourself. Because you are the leader. You are the head of that household now.
Right.
There's no more husband, boyfriend, and none of that. It's just you and your children. So that's what I did. I started working on a plan. So what I did was I left everything. And I just took me and my daughter and her bed. Because she loved her little bed. Her bed was a queen-size bed, and it had like little diamond things on it. So, but I took her bed, and that was it. And once we got out of there, well, actually what happened, let me back up. How we got out of this, when the police came, they surrounded the apartment. And my mom, I didn't even know these people had reached out to my family, let my family know. I had family from Jacksonville all over that came to help me. See, that lets you know that people will come.
Yeah, they will show up.
You have to open your mouth and let people know, hey, I'm going through this. Do not be ashamed. And we deal with that as well. How people gonna look at
Yes, that
us?
shame is really big. I hear that from so many people of why they don't tell, of why they don't
Yes,
talk to law enforcement, why the family don't know, why they haven't
right,
reported it. They're like, I
right.
don't want anybody to know about this. There's a lot of shame, a lot of
Yes,
even guilt to say, like, I'm the reason they're like this. They take that guilt
I
onto
know.
themselves. And I hear a lot about that, and it's hard. It's
It
hard because I
is.
want to say I don't see shame in you, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that way, and I would hope other
Mm-mm.
people don't too. But I know that it's really
Right.
hard to get through that mindset to say I'm going to put back what people might think of me and tell what's happening.
You know, that is so true. Let me tell you, I got to that point where I didn't care about nobody. It
Mm-hmm.
was about my daughter and myself. If I had to lose friends, I lost them because I felt like when I did talk to some of my friends, they didn't believe me, so I knew I need to let that friend go.
Go.
So people that do not believe your story, let them go because all they gonna do is create more toxic, and you don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing to do is clear your mind of everything, reset your mindset, and say, you know what? I'm not worried about nobody. It's all about me. I know what I'm worth, and go for it. And that's what I had to do. I mean, I went for it. Sky was the limit. I went big. I said, I'm not going to do this because the best revenge was my comeback was showing him what he lost.
Mm-hmm.
And it did. It worked. So you can't be afraid to get out. You have to step out on faith because material things, we could always get that back again. But you can't get your life back. You can't get your mental frame back. Your mindset, it's damaged if you continue to sit there in it. So that's where we fall short. We continue to just let it saying it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. Once it starts, it never gets better. Cause remember, love do not hurt. Love
Nope.
feels good.
You said you're talking about how the materialistic things we can always get that back, and that's a really
Mm-hmm.
good point. That
Mm-hmm.
to think that a lot of times we stay out of I don't know where I'm going to live. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how I'm going to provide. So those physical things we often will stay for, but when it really comes down to like you said, you have this is your life. You
That's
can
right.
replace all of those things, but you can't replace the life you've lived.
That's right.
What are some of barriers that you came across after you left, after the situation, restarting from scratch, basically?
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that you experienced?
What I had to do when I started over, I got a job that I didn't even want. I started working at Wendy's. I'm like, I know I'm better than this, but it's a check.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I started putting in more hours, more hours. That started making money where I can start putting away in my account so I can have money to get me a cute little apartment. And that's what I did. I got me a 2 bedroom apartment. I saved enough money to get me a 2 bedroom apartment. Then what I started doing, I seen little things on the trash pile. I would get that and spray paint my furniture, make it look brand new. I
Mm-hmm.
got creative about how I wanted my piece in my house to be. See, so we got to give up that pride, is what I'm saying. We go through life with a lot of pride. We don't
Mm-hmm.
want to do this. Oh, that's beneath me. Oh, you got to start somewhere. And if you really love yourself, you're going to do what you have to do to get there. And that's what I had to think about. Either you going to sit here and you going to have a pity party with yourself, or you going to get up and you going to make a change for you and your daughter. Because I have a child. I want my child to see strong is what it's all about.
Right.
It's that strength. And knowing that who you are is most important than anything.
That was no easy journey.
And it wasn't an easy journey because I mean, I had a lot of ups and downs. I had a lot of no's. I had a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people saying you can't get this, you can't get that. And you can't do this, you can't do that. So I took all those what I can't do and turned them into what I can do. And that's what you do. Whatever a person say you cannot do, that's your challenge. Let people challenge you because that gives you your strength. And that's what happened with me. It gave me my strength. Every time somebody said, "Oh, you're not going to make it," I made them out of a liar. See, so you take those can'ts and you turn them into positive, and then you be like, "I got this." Cause you gonna start thinking about you and forget about what you went through.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. You resetting your mind.
That I've heard that before. I've heard somebody say, like, I forgot everything that I went through. When it starts getting hard.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's just easier to go back to the financial security and the house that you know. They say take the easy way, but that's not easy either. No, by any means. So I think it's very, very good that you said that, because I feel like other people feel the same. They think the same.
Yes. And it's not, I mean, yes, I mean, life is a challenge, period. So no matter whether we with someone that's being disrespectful, that's what I call it, being disrespectful to our dignity, you know, because we as women, we got to always guard our dignity and respect. We don't let nobody violate that. So when we start seeing the people taking that from us, you got to go ahead on and step out on faith and say, you know what, I got this. No matter what a person try to do to you, it's not better to go back, because it's going to get worse every time you go back, because now you're giving them that mind, that putting in their mind, okay, you just planted that seed. Okay, I got away with it the first time. Now I'm going to really get them. They're going to come harder because
right.
they know you're going to constantly keep coming back. So don't fall weak. That's what I call being weak, because women are very strong women. And we just have to use our forces. Don't ever go back. No matter how hard it gets when you're trying to get out there on your own, it's going to be harder when you go back, because the mindset goes through that old cycle again. Oh, I wish I wouldn't have did this. Oh, I wish I wouldn't have did that. But when you was out, you should have stayed out. So I say, you know, and I tell a lot of women, I feel like this: if you once you go back, that's because you wanted to go back. Not because you had to go back, because you had the opportunity to get out there and make a difference in your own life. So I don't feel sorry for women that goes back, because you got to, if you got to get into a 1 bedroom or live, like I say, come into a shelter just to make a difference, do what you have to do. But don't go back, because the abuse is going to get worse. Because once they go through the physical abuse, that's mental abuse, then the sexual abuse, all this other abuse start coming in. Then you're going to be like, you feel worthless.
And
You
that's
lose
their
your
goal.
right, and that's what they want to take from you.
Right. They want you to, the abusers want you to feel worthless. They want you to feel like you don't have anywhere to go. You're isolated with no one to talk to.
Right.
That they are the only person in the life, your life that you can rely on is them. And then they use that to their advantage.
That's right.
And to create more abusive control. Because domestic violence is all about power and control, and is gaining power and control over your partner.
That's right.
And that's why it's so different for each different relationship. It's so different for each couple, because it's, how can I gain power and control over you? What avenues do I have to take as the abuser to gain that power and control over you? And some people, the abusers know you. They know what it takes to gain that power and control over you. So it's always different for every relationship. There are a lot of patterns that are the same that people experience. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I definitely want to let the ladies know, you know, it may be hard. I'm going to say this again. Life is hard either way. Either way you look at it, life is going to be hard. I mean, just being out here, being free, we still have challenges.
That's right.
You know, we still don't know which way things going to take place every day we wake up, you know, with the economy, everything, you know. So remember, the transition that you're going through, that's just a better you. And you got to always have faith in God. And that was my number one thing. I had to keep faith, and I had to rely on him. I talked to people that didn't understand what I was going through. You run from those people, because nobody can't tell you what you're feeling. So that's your number one downfall. When you sit there and someone say they understand, and you be like, oh, you went through this too. They tell you no. They can't give you good advice. They going to tell you, what if I was you? But you're not me, so they don't understand your pain. So the best thing for you to do is just go ahead on and put together a cycle of how you gonna make these changes. Do a routine. What I did was I have books out, and I started doing little love notes to myself.
That's a great idea.
I started writing love notes to myself, letting me know how valuable I am, how beautiful I am. Start building your confidence, Start looking in the mirror and say, oh, I know this is who I am and nobody's going to take it from me. Talk to you. Get your mind right,
And a lot of people feel like the affirmations, the body positivity and all the things that you see on social media people practice, and they want to make fun of it, like that helps so much. Because when you have a partner constantly tearing you down, the way you look, the way you act, making you feel dumb, making you feel stupid, it makes a really big difference to have somebody, even if it's you,
that's right,
to say that those aren't true.
That's right. And that's the truth. I get in the mirror right now. My husband, he be laughing at me. I'm like, girl, you got this today. Just go down and do you, honey. I mean, just make you feel good. You don't need nobody's permission to make you feel good. You need no one's permission to tell you you are beautiful. You need nobody's permission to give you the key to life. You don't need those three things.
That's true.
So once you get those three things in your mind, you can do whatever you want to do. Nobody gives you permission to be happy but you and your Heavenly Father.
That's very good.
Yes.
Well, I'm so glad that you came on the podcast with us today, and I cannot wait to have you on again.
Yes.
We might circle back around in October for Domestic Violence Awareness Month and do something together again. Yes. But thank you, Miss Rose, for being here.
Thank you. And your shirt looks good.
I know. I love it.
I love your shirt.
I love it. Thank you.
And thank you for having me. I really appreciate this.
Yep. We're going to put some links below. If you need resources, if you need help to get out of an abusive relationship, if you need a support group that you want to go to, I'm going to put all the information below. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me.